Good morning. Welcome to the community briefing. This is our first show of the new year, 2023, and we are glad you are here. It is the 5th of January, 2023, and we have our guest today is Mary Peralta, and she'll be joining us momentarily, but grab a cup of coffee, cup of water, some tea, and you're in for a really good show. My name is Gregory Sneed, and the name of my company is Lifesaver Financial Services, where I help my clients feel better about their money. And I do so through three different divisions: life insurance solutions, financial coaching, and financial literacy training. Because I firmly believe that when you feel better about your money, you feel better about your life. And we ought to have a show on goals for the year, but not necessarily goals, because goals and perhaps intentions. Um, a goal can be sort of nefarious, just like everybody has a goal to lose weight. So my goal is I'm going to lose 20 pounds, and I only have 25 more to go. So our queen of the community briefing, Miss
Hello,
Crystal
everyone.
Mitchell. Let me bring her to the virtual stage, and please welcome Crystal Mitchell.
Happy New Year, everyone. Glad to have you. Welcome back for 2023, the community briefing. I hope we're going to have a stellar year like we had in 2022. And as Greg said, I am excited about 2023. I don't make resolutions, I make goals and strategies and plans. And so far, so good. For some reason or another, Facebook is not allowing me to stream, so I'll have to work on that while we're in route. But if not, it'll get there this afternoon, sometime this afternoon. So welcome to the community briefing. We are so happy to have you here. My name is Crystal Mitchell. I am the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, as well as I host another podcast called The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. I do have my own coaching business. I provide coaching and mentorship and training for the small business community, and I work for multiple agencies and organizations here in Los Angeles, providing those workshops and training and individual coaching to our community. Um, this program is inspired by myself. I did it so that we can make sure that we get firsthand information, and you get to know who your leaders and stakeholders are and the people that are making things happen within our community. So I thought that was very important. And we have a fantastic team: Mr. Gregory Sneed, Mrs. Stephen Turner, and Miss Robin Billups. They will be in shortly. This platform is powered by Recycling Black Dollars and the Black Business Association, the BBA. And we have multiple sponsors: Southern California Edison, SoCal Gas, Pacific Coast Regional Center is our latest and newest, and we have Wells Fargo. So we want to welcome you all. We're all want to welcome you all here, and we have a fantastic guest today, and we're looking forward to learning more about her and about USC, my alma mater. So glad to have you here, Mary, and everyone else that's here, and I'm sure more people will be joining us. And I'm going to turn it back over to Greg.
Thank you, Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
So our guest today is Mary Peralta. Am I saying your name
Oh,
correctly?
you said it so right there,
All right,
Peralta.
good. Peralta. So we'll go over some brief rundown of her background. She's an experienced program manager with a demonstrated history of working in real estate education. She's also skilled in event planning, administration, excuse me, management, higher education, and leadership. She completed a 21-year career with the U.S. Navy and Navy Reserve. All right, well, we'll ask some questions about that. And she
Sure.
has a strong program and project management professional. She's got a bachelor's of science, BS degree, excuse me, focused in clinical management from the George Washington University School of Medicine and Health and Sciences. She's currently at the USC Ross program in real estate. She's a program manager there. Been there just a little over 11 years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
She served also at the USC Lusk Center for Real Estate, and she was in that capacity for 3 years. She was office administrator at Livable Places. She was in the new U.S. Navy Reserve for 15 years, and then she was a petty officer first class in the Navy as a U.S. Navy Medical Service Corps hospital corpsman, and at San Diego Naval Hospital, an advanced medical lab. Um, you're at Camp Lejeune too. Oh,
Yeah.
and so getting all those ads about the water. What
Oh, yes.
one of my best friends was at the camp during that during those years.
Yeah.
She went to the George Washington University School of Medicine and Health, and I have no idea where she was born and raised. So she'll share
Oh,
that with you. Are you a native of Los Angeles?
I am. I was born and raised in LA. The hospital isn't even there anymore. South Hoover Hospital.
South
Um,
Hoover Hospital?
yeah, I was, I guess, on Hoover and some street. I don't know. But yeah, I grew up for I think the first 14 years of my life off of Compton and Gage, and then my family moved to Huntington Park when I went to high school there. And but I joined the Navy when I was 19, and I I traveled mainly on the United States. I spent actually 6 years in Camp Lejeune, and went to Desert Storm, and also then became a reservist. But even as a reservist, I did a lot of travel. That was actually the better part of my service. I did travel to South America mostly, but my original education was in medicine. I did get a laboratory degree, and then later through George Washington Clinical Administration, which is basically running medical offices and such. And for the Navy, the last 10 years of my life, I was an translator, interpreter in South America with the fleet that goes out there every year. It was great. I really enjoyed being in the military, and I recommend it to all young people. It really shows you, what you're made of, right? At a very young age. So I wish everyone would do at least a little 2 or 4 years. It just changes your life. And so, yeah, I was gone from LA for almost, I don't know, maybe almost 30 years. No, not that much, maybe 20 something years. And then my son accepted USC, and I felt like I wanted to come back home. So I ended up coming here, back here in 2004. And I live in Koreatown. I've lived in Koreatown since I moved back. And it's just really serendipity that I ended up working at USC. My son was working for Livable Places, which was an affordable housing organization. He had an urban planning degree, and they needed somebody to run the office. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. At the time, I was working in the stem cell, uh, reproductive cell world, and things were a little fishy at the time. So I decided to jump ship and went to affordable housing. And from there, they hired me at USC because one of the professors, Raphael Bostic, I think you guys know who he is. He is now the president of the Atlantic Treasury. He hired me to come and work at the Lusk Center. So it's kind of an interesting journey. But I love working there. The Lusk Center is a great place to work. USC is a great place to work. And I loved the Ross program at the time being run by somebody else. And when she left, I applied for the position, and it's really been one of the best jobs that I've ever had. It really is incredibly rewarding.
Awesome, awesome. Was South America part of the Pacific Fleet for the Navy, or is it
It's
service on
actually
both
it,
sides?
it yeah, it's actually COMSO land, if you know what that means. Command Southern Atlantic Fleet. Every year, and I still think it's going on. It's called Unitas, and they literally cruise. Many ships and submarines cruise around South America and do humanitarian work, exercises with the host country's military, and just try to keep friendly relations. And we went just to I was there to interpret for a lot of the officers through the consulates and embassies, and also to help out with the humanitarian work. We would work in orphanages and such, just to help repair, bring in needed supplies and stuff. It was great service. A little bit of everything. My motto has been, "You buy, I fly." That was, for me, that was the Navy, right?
Which
Get
countries in South America were you in?
almost every single one except Venezuela and Colombia and Paraguay because it's landlocked, and Bolivia because it's landlocked. So everything else: Brazil, Chile, Argentina, Peru. What am I missing? A couple other ones.
Uruguay.
Uruguay. Mhm. Yeah, but Colombia and Venezuela, too much drug history there, so they don't let the military go
Especially
in
during
there.
during that time. Do you have a
Yeah,
favorite?
during my favorite, I think Chile.
Chile? Okay.
Chile, it's like looking at California, right? Like on the other side of the world, right? Because it is the same beaches, the same agricultural, bounty, great food. Loved it. But really, every country there has something to offer. Brazil, Argentina, Peru. I mean, it's just amazing. If anybody wants to travel, go travel to South America, and it's fairly inexpensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who had the best food?
Oh, you know what? I think Brazil.
Okay.
Brazil is so international, very much like the United States.
Yeah.
I didn't have a bad meal the whole time I was there, and I would go for 2 or 3 weeks at a time.
Feijoada and all that. Yeah. Good.
Oh
Good.
yeah, and everything, whether it was Italian and German, and if you know the history of Brazil, they're very much an immigrant country, right? And have really very similar history to the United States, with the history of slavery, with the history of the Portuguese, with
Right.
the
Right.
history of the German escapes from Germany during World War II, right? Italians. I mean, it has everything. And
Yeah.
I think probably the most beautiful people in the world because of that mix, right? That melting pot of people, incredible beauty out there.
Did you get to see the falls? Did you get
I did not.
Oh
I did
man.
not. You remember I was working.
Well, but then you had a
We
vacation time,
tried.
right?
I tried. I tried. I mean, two
That-
things that I didn't get to do that were thwarted. I actually had trip to Machu Picchu,
uh-huh.
right? And we tried to land many times. We couldn't. We had to go back. So I didn't get to go to Machu Picchu, and to the Galapagos. Again, I had tickets and everything, and there was a big storm, and I didn't get to go. So
Wow. Mother
yeah,
Nature. Okay.
yes.
So tell us about what you're doing at USC.
So the Ross program initially was called the Summer Program in Real Estate. It was established in 1993 as a response to the 1992 civil unrest. The California Redevelopment Agency, which is no longer around, was tasked with going back into the neighborhood, right, and help redevelop it. And what they were hoping to do was to engage the residents of the area and have a say in what they needed to do with their community. And of course, what they found out that there's very little knowledge in what development is, and I really don't think it's just a problem with minorities. I think most people don't know what developers are, right? The big person who comes into your neighborhood and builds something, and he's bad and he's rich and all that kind of stuff. Yes, typically he's white and male. So USC being in the neighborhood and being, I guess at the time, and I guess still is, and I think that some people might argue, but they're pretty good neighbors of the community. And so the CRA went to the School of Business, which that's all there was at the time, and asked, if they could develop an educational platform to teach people the, fundamentals of real estate development. And the first people that took this course, from my understanding, were some of the people that were involved with raising money for the course. So a lot of people backed it up from banks, right? Michael Banner was in the first class, and a few other people, Tina Johnson Hall, a number of people that were in finance, and helped with the financing of the program, were actually the first people who took the course. And it involved, the idea was to give people who had at least some understanding of land use, so real estate agents, um, community development corporations that were typically attached to church groups, people like that, right? Community activists, to come and learn in a quick, it was a 2-week course, uh, 12 days. You stayed on campus for those 12 days in the summer. And that's why it was called the summer program in real estate. And of course, it has evolved. The curriculum has really improved. I think we're much more focused, much more granular. And it started out with one a year. And I think in 2003, a gentleman by the name of Stan Ross, he endowed the program, and of course they renamed the program in his honor, and it was at the time the Ross Minority Program in Real Estate. And what Stan wanted to do is to make sure that people who felt they were marginalized, who were outside of this industry, could see this program and say, hey, that's for me. What regardless of what you think, if you're a minority or not, that's what he was hoping to do. And so for, gosh, 16 years or something, 17 years, it remained the Ross Minority Program in real estate. And just recently, in the last few years, Stan Ross unfortunately died about 5 years ago. But his family just recently, in the last couple of years, asked that we change the name to the Ross Program in real estate, and mainly to make it more inclusive, right? To really open it up, and it's always been open to anyone, but they just felt that that word minority it didn't have the weight, the connotations that it did 20 years ago, and that they wanted it removed. So today it is the Ross Program in real estate. It's still the same. It's open to anyone. It always has been, but it is still focused at trying to engage women and under represented groups within this industry to come and learn the fine art, the fundamentals of real estate development. That's what we've been doing. We have over, I think we're at around 1,100 alumni. These are very small classes, about 20, average 16 to 20 people per class. Um, Even through COVID, we converted the class to online, something we said we would never do, but COVID changed a lot of things. And so today we have now 2 classes a year, one in January, one in June. So my January class starts January the 12th. It is virtual because the virtual classes are so popular. And then the June class will be in person, which we hold on campus. And it is it's a certificate course. You do not leave with a diploma. You leave with a certificate of completion. You are not an alumni, an official USC alumni. However, we treat the graduates of this class as if they were alumni, and we continue to communicate with them. We continue to offer educational opportunities. The fellowship, the networking within this group is really strong, and partly because I think that Black and Brown people have always felt, outside of the margins of the wide controlled real estate industry, especially in development. And it's been, I think, incredibly fortunate that within our group, you can reach out to someone who, do you need a broker? Do you need an agent? Do you need an appraiser? Do you need an architect? Do you need a planner? Do you need somebody who works for the city? Do you need somebody who works for affordable housing? Someone in finance? You can find all these people within our group, and there's a lot of networking and business dealings between them. I have Ross alums who have hired other Ross alums. We've had Ross alums who have established their own companies together. I tell them when they start, you're going to find a partner, a friend, business dealings. We've had business dealings done right during the class because there's, I think, a freedom and a feeling of safety and security within our community, and I think that promotes that good business development between our graduates in this program.
But how many people have come through the program?
I think we're at around 1,100 right now.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
fabulous.
yeah, 1,100. Yeah, about that much. And like I said, classes are small, so we probably somewhere between 40 to 50 people a year, maybe, because the curriculum is intense. You're going through 8 hours a day of class. We have classroom work, we have project work, we have site visits, and our professors, and these courses are taught by the same professors that teach in the master's in real estate development and the bachelor's in real estate development programs that we have. And they just condense the curriculum and, you know, teach it with like intensity. So we need small classes, and the professors do a lot of one-on-one. We're really good at making sure that everyone gets what they need from it, and it changes lives. It has. I have had people call me and say, Mary, this program has changed my life. And I don't know how many programs can say that. And a 12-day curriculum can do that for you.
Right, right. What changes or goals or strategies are on online? And we'll get to questions in just a minute. But just one last question for for this calendar year. So for 2023, what goals or things that do differently for the year?
Right. Well, like I said, we this has always been an in-person course, right? And when people actually called and would say, is this a virtual course? Can we ever do this? And I'd say, no, we can't, because real estate, real estate education, it's a very one-on-one, face-to-face, in-person kind of situation. But we were forced to go virtual, and I'm going to say this: I hate virtual classes because I like to get to know you as a student, right? But it's really been quite popular. And we have had people come from all over the country, fly in from Atlanta, from New York, from Alaska, and outside of the country. We've had people from Singapore, from Shanghai, come and take this course. But that virtual now option has opened up, right? And so we weren't at first planning to continue the virtual thing, but because we've had so much push, I guess, or demand, we're testing it out. So we're doing this January virtual and June in person, and we're going to see how well this goes. And we might end up sticking to a one virtual, one in-person class, or maybe a virtual class every other year. But the virtual thing is here to stay at in some way. And that's what we're working on. And it's not easy, right? We first started just doing Zoom, and now we're doing asynchronous classes, which means that the students get to watch a video and on their own time, and then come back and deal with the professors. And the part that I have to say is a benefit to this is that I can also get keynote speakers or guest lecturers from across the country, which is something that I couldn't do because I'd have to fly them in and all that. That was way too much for the budget. But knowing that someone can speak to my students virtually really has expanded our grasp, right? And it's just for the benefit of everyone. And I feel I like to invite people who don't know about this program, because it's a word of mouth thing. We don't market this program very much. It's really word of mouth, and the more people know about this program, they actually refer. So I get people referred to this program, number one, through graduates, but through panelists, through speakers, through people who just found out about it because of another friend who found. And so I just feel like, get the word out to anyone out there, especially if you don't live in the Southern California area, because now you have an opportunity to do this virtually. And I think that's our goal, to expand this course, make it more technologically advanced, and continue to spread the word.
Thank you. There's
Yeah,
someone on our call who I think you might know that has a couple of questions or statement for you, and that would be
I'm
Miss
sure.
Robin Phillips.
Of course. That's my girl.
Hey guys, I'm the number one volunteer for Mary Peralta. Happy New Year. I completed this program in 1997. I was a loan officer at the time in commercial real estate. One of the things that I wanted to add to what Mary has said, you can't find this anywhere else. Other organizations, other schools have tried to replicate this, but SC is the real estate school. And so to be able to take an executive training class on that campus, as I used to do orientation all the time, and I tell them all the time that the benefit is the afterglow, the network that you create. As she mentioned, if you need an MAI appraiser, if you need an environmentalist, if you need a developer, if you need someone to take a look at your numbers, the network that this creates for someone in the real estate game is invaluable. The expense of paying for this course, one of the other things that I tell folks in orientation is put it in your professional development plan, because a lot of the recruits that come through there are because they work for Jones Lang LaSalle, or they work for Grubb and Ellis, or they work for some development company. They're new to real estate, or they need a refresher. It provides you with all of the what I call current information and next generation information around development. And Mary's point about who you get to meet and who you get to interact with is we can't even name the numbers of folks that have come through the program as presenters, as keynote speakers, as volunteers. Real estate is king. Real to me is the only way that you can create generational wealth. So it's a great opportunity for folks to get an understanding of how the whole development process works, and then to be able to hone in on, are you going to do financing, or are you going to do appraisal, or are you going to do development, or are you going to do construction? What role are you going to play? And the one final thing that I will say, early on when we were we used to have these selection committees, and folks would try to deny folks access. And one person that they tried to deny access was a young lady who was a community organizer. And one of the things that you find out about development is it's so very critical to have the community that you're doing your construction in on board what the project is. And so that community organizer brought a lot of value to the conversation when it was time for them to be adjudicated as teams. And one thing that she will say, and I'm going to tell you it's not true, it is a competition. You get put on a team. If you get put on a team to complete a project, that's a competition. And of course, I was on the winning team
Of
myself
course.
and Danny Bakewell Jr. So I do like to brag about that. Mary, again, thank you for coming on. And please, if there are questions related to real estate development, this is the opportunity to ask those questions, and certainly an opportunity to look at the program for, if not this, certainly not January, but for the June or coming. And then again, finally, I did participate in the summer program, and I thoroughly enjoyed it because it allows you to truly focus on just the program and not having to be responsible for your family and all of that other stuff. But Mary, thanks again for coming on, and thank you, Community Briefing, for always providing the right resources for our community.
Awesome,
Thank you,
awesome.
Robin.
Um,
Let me clarify a few things, just to um, clarify some things.
mhm.
So our students, just to give you an idea who they are, average age is 38. They have about 10 years experience average in their chosen field. And their fields, they are already, for the most part, working in land use, 99% of them. So they are appraisers and agents and brokers and planners. And they're working at, banks, they work for cities. Um, you need to have an understanding of land use concepts to take this course. This is not a course for someone who says, I just want to know more about real estate. That's not what this is. Um, and the number one thing you really need to work on, if you're not efficient in, is in Excel spreadsheet when it comes to finance. And so Robin said that, in the past there have been people denied. And really, my goal is to get as many people, if you want to take this course, I want you in. And we don't even require a bachelor's degree, because the fact is, in real estate, in all real estate industry, a developer does not need a license, does not need a degree, does not need a certificate. Developer does not need anything to do development. I mean, if they're smart, they should have an LLC, but there are no requirements on what you should do or know, or educate yourself or anything in development. And so our goal is to get these people that are working within the industry but have not been able to, let's say, break through that development ceiling, because that is really, I think, one of the most high generating when it comes to wealth positions, right, that you do, or careers that you can do in the industry. And the fact is, the real estate development industry has been run mainly by white males because of the history of this country. And if you just take California, people from Spanish background, right, who were attached in some way to the aristocracy, came to these lands and were giving large swaths of land to hold and do whatever they wanted to. And as a matter of fact, Irvine Company comes from that. So this information that you couldn't get in college, you couldn't get anywhere other than working with someone who is teaching you directly. So essentially, this information was passed down from father to son, right? Or, best friend's son, or that type of deal. You couldn't go to a school 20 years ago, 25 years ago. There were no real estate schools other than when it came to sales. And I argue that's not real estate, that's sales. Other than that, you couldn't learn how to do real estate development unless someone wanted to teach you. Hence, essentially, if you were black or brown, or a woman, you weren't going to get this, right? And so that's today, for you to do development, you just need to understand the numbers. Number one, that's number one, like anything else. We teach you what's called a pro forma, and you need to learn how to create a pro forma from scratch and apply it to whatever project you want to do, whether it's ground up construction or investment. You have to understand that development, you need to make money. If you're trying to do the financial analysis, and in the end you're losing money, you can't do that development. And that's what we teach you. And that sounds simple, but it is pretty complicated when it comes to learning what needs to be put in that pro forma, and that is done through Excel spreadsheet, the way we teach it. You can go get software, but then you're just plugging in numbers. So we're teaching you how to do it the correct way, the fundamental way. And then usually when they're finished with this class, one of the things I tell every student is, this is not the end of your education, this is the beginning. We've given you these tools, now you got to go and practice it. It's like a language. You don't use it, you're going to lose it. And so that's where the networking and the helping each other come in. And in some cases, people have gone on and become developers, but I think most people take this course to enhance their current careers. Planners, they usually do not have any type of development education, but yet they're the ones who are doing a lot of the approvals for development. Or someone who's in economic development or works in housing, they're not taught how to do real estate development. And so they take this course so that they can do a better job and hopefully move up, right, within their positions, or go get a better job at a development company. Though I have to admit that today there is still a barrier. There is still a barrier for a young Black man to walk into a company like Irvine Company or Lewis Company or any of these big companies and get a development job. It is still difficult. And that, as you all know, is a whole different reason. It's not because you don't understand real estate development. It's because that person who's hiring is still not I'm going to say the word comfortable with hiring uh, a Black or brown person. And I know this from experience because we had someone wanting to hire a person. They came through the Ross program because I get a lot of requests. Here's a job opportunity. We're looking to hire a Black person. We're looking to hire a woman. We're looking to hire someone of color. And in the end, they don't hire. And we had someone even said, I don't know, should I take the chance?
Take a chance.
That's what they said. Should I take the chance? You know, I'm done.
So, Mary, wow. So this would be great for someone looking to invest in real estate development. I know my brother-in-law, and I have several friends that are, or people I know that are retired, and they have money that they want to invest in. But again, understanding all the nuances, and as you said, the numbers are so important. I think I'm going to recommend this to my brother-in-law. What's the duration of the certificate course? How long?
It's it's 12 days of actual class work. And we typically spread it over 4 weeks. If you're in person, if you come on campus, it's 4 weeks and you come 3 days a week. If you're doing it virtual, we spread it over 5 weeks because we realize we can't keep you on Zoom for 8 hours a day. So we spread it. Believe me, we tried it the first time. We practically killed these people. Um, I mean, and it was during COVID, so they got their kids and their dogs, and they're like, it was intense. So 5 weeks for the online class. And I'm gonna say this, and please don't get me wrong, because I'm an older person, and we're not as well educated in technology, right?
Mhm.
So the first thing I recommend is, if you don't know Excel, and believe me, you don't know Excel when it comes to finance unless you're a finance. If you have a finance background or an accounting background, you know it. But if that's not your background, you should you should get a good Excel finance tutorial. You can go to community college to do this, or you can find one online. But you need to really be efficient. You need to really understand Excel as it pertains to finance, right? How to enter formulas and such. We all know how to cut and paste, but that's not this.
Okay.
Is there one that you recommend on the Excel?
No, not really. I know. I guess I should. I actually provide my students. We do a workshop, a 2-hour workshop about a month before, and what I tell them is this: we're not going to teach you anything in 2 hours. We're going to teach you that you don't know it, right? Which is usually what happens, because people are like, yeah, I know it, and then when they see a professor, doing all, and they're ooh. And so I give them a lot of links to Microsoft, because Microsoft has classes for free, you know, and YouTube has classes for free, but it's always better, I guess, to get uh, to take a class, to take an actual class. And I know that community colleges do it, and I know that there are some online classes that you could review, I'm sure, and learn how to do this correctly, or get Excel for in finance for dummies, something.
And do they need to be sort of? I mean, there's obviously this beginner, sort of intermediate, and advanced, and then there's like ultra advanced. I mean, so I don't know if you're getting
I don't
to
know if
like.
you froze or I froze. Can you hear me now?
Can we, yeah, we
I
can
can hear
hear
you.
you.
Okay, because you froze there for a minute.
No, I'm warm. I'm okay.
Okay. um, I mean, we want you to be more than beginner, right? And we're going to help you. Please don't misunderstand me, because we have all levels of people who take this course, and we have people that are very good at it and people who are just started. But you need to at least understand the excuse me, the vocabulary when a professor talks about amortization, when they talk about anchoring a formula, when they talk about goal seek, and people are like, what? What? I don't know what that is. We need you to understand what those terms mean and where to find it on your computer.
Awesome, awesome. There is a question here from Lynn. Mary, I'm curious to know if you are seeing any trends or increased interest from Ross program participants in addressing the community's growing challenges regarding homelessness, affordable housing, workforce
Excuse me.
housing, things like that.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, excuse me.
Hmm.
I usually instruct the students not to ask the professors, what do you think about the homeless problem? Because it is a rabbit hole. Everyone that comes, just about, I would say 75% of the people that take this course, they're trying to find a way for a solution to homelessness and to increase affordable housing. Um, it is not a this is my own opinion. It is not a problem about not being able to build or develop. The problem is people don't want it done in their neighborhood.
Mm.
It's everyone paid money, right? We got taxed to raise money for homelessness, to
Hmm.
build more housing. However, every time somebody tries to build it in any community, Koreatown, I was embarrassed that my neighbors protested temporary shelters. South LA, Pasadena, Alton, I don't care where. Everyone goes, yes, the homeless, they need to be housed, but not in my neighborhood. That is really, in my opinion, the number one problem because we have the money, we have the know how, we have the will, but not in my neighborhood. I have been actually told, why can't they build it like up there in the desert? There's lots of room out in the desert. I am not kidding. This is what I have been told.
Wow.
And so for me, it's like you want to build, but most people do not want it built in their neighborhoods. Yes, land is very expensive, but it can be done. Even the city has a lot of properties. After the CRA closed down, they have all these open properties. Why can't the city, and I know they can, and I know it's complicated, but they could use those lands to build homeless housing or affordable housing.
And the
But
interesting thing is that, especially in the last, since the pandemic, but let's say the last decade, there are a lot of homeless people that the people that are out there, the unhoused, a lot of it is just from the misfortune of not making enough money to live
absolutely,
where they live. So we're not talking,
absolutely,
lifers that have been on the streets. We're talking about regular people that at one
correct,
point was in an apartment building next door to you or in your neighborhood already, but this is who they are. I was this past weekend, New Year's Eve weekend. I actually was down in San Diego, so I got to see Midway. I was quite impressed by the museum, the Navy. I learned a lot about the
yeah,
military because San Diego being a military town,
hmm
and I learned far more than I ever even knew. And I was very impressed with the facilities down there. But one of the things we found was a lot of their homeless are actually veterans and that have served our countries. And so when you say thank you for serving, but at the same time say no, I don't want you in my neighborhood, then what kind
exactly,
of craziness is that? You're contradicting yourself. So these are regular people who have not been able to maintain a place to live because the real estate market in this state has outrageously out of control. It's really out of control. So it's sad that NIMBYs just keep insisting um, that they don't want them in their neighborhood when we're just regular people. They're just regular. Any of us on this call could be that person.
absolutely. Um, uh, and yes, when people think about the homeless, the first thing they think of is that Skid Row type of environment. But many homeless do work, whether they're living out of their cars or their campers or even their tents. They do
Mhm.
work. Um, some homeless live on, somebody's couch until they get kicked out.
Mhm.
Right? Lot of children. There should not be children homeless out there,
No.
but they are. Um, but what most people think of is there's going to be crime. They're going to be crime, and I'm like, they're already laying on your street. So where are they doing the crime? They're on the street. You're stepping over them. Where's the crime? Or they're pedophiles. And again, they're already on your street. They're on your sidewalk. Where? Show me what they're doing. So I don't understand it. And I feel it's just really lack of knowledge and selfishness, I guess, because my property is going to lose, and that we go back to real estate. It's all about real estate, right?
But your property is still losing because you have them living on your street.
Exactly.
On the street. And so your property is already suffering. The crime is already there because they're living on the street. So, and they probably may not be. And I think it's just a misconception that all those people out there are just criminals. I
Right.
think that's the issue, that
Right.
all those people are already criminals and we don't want them in our neighborhood. But they may not have been. Some,
Right.
but they may not have been.
Most are not.
Most
Most
not.
are
Yeah,
not.
and
Right.
that
Right.
infuriates
Absolutely.
me.
So that is one of the things that many of our students are hoping to do. And I give them all the props, and I say, God, I hope you figure it out, right? I hope you figure it out. And some of them I think are very naive because they come into this not really understanding what the problems are. But they go out there and they're trying. It's, again, I don't think it's a matter of money. I don't think it's a matter of not being able to build. It's a matter of people not wanting it to be built. It's the whole, also the LA is not New York, right? I just posted something on my Facebook uh group that showed, like, there's a difference between like crowding and density. So you have a house that has, or an apartment that has 3 families living in it. Why not build 3 apartments and have those 3 families living in it and build up? But again, I don't know how many. I don't know if it's the majority of people, but apparently LA homeowners, for the most part, do not want density. They do not want to build up. However, I live in Koreatown, as I mentioned, and in the last 3 years, we have had an incredible amount of construction, and it is concerning because the majority of apartments in Koreatown are rent control, and they are being torn down to build lots of apartments, which is a good thing. But I live in a rent control apartment, and these apartments that are building that are new, they are starting at $2,400 for a 1-bedroom apartment.
Which
Your
means more
average,
homeless people.
yeah, your average worker who works at a market, a restaurant, at one apartment, they can't afford a $2,400 apartment to start with. And if they're married and have kids, where are they going to put them? Then we're back to the same thing.
Right.
So that's a concern for me, and a conflicting concern, because I do like what's happening to my neighborhood, because I got new restaurants, new coffee shops, and all this. But at the same time, my neighbors are being displaced, and it's hard to see that, which is part of the uh what am I trying to say? Part of the escape of people in Los Angeles. You hear these things about people are leaving LA or people are leaving California. They are, but it's really the labor force, because more people are still moving into California than are moving out. But the people that are moving in, they have the money. The people that are moving out are people who can't live on $15 an hour, but they can live on $15 an hour in Nevada or Texas or Indiana or something like that.
Exactly. Robin, you had your hand up.
Yeah, one of the last things that I wanted to mention is if you belong to a church that has an economic development corporation, get actively involved with that activity. That to me is one of the solutions that's out there that's not really being taken advantage of. West LA, does it exceptionally well. Fame had a lot of construction going on in the 80s and the 90s, but there are a lot of properties that these churches own that they could actually use and get into the development game and put together a team and be able to solve some of these problems that we have from a housing standpoint.
Awesome. that was going to be my next question. How do we, and how does this platform be able to help in this process and help you guys, help you to get the word out? Because I think that it's not just Karen Bass that can solve this problem. It's got to be all of us that can solve this problem. And so,
Yeah,
how do we help as a community?
I think the number one thing is allowing it to happen in your community. One of my one of the graduates of this program, Carmen Hill, I think some of you may know her,
I know Carmen.
right? She consults with people who own property, trying to help them redevelop it, build something better, or retool it, whatever. Just and she has recommended to a number of people in the Leimert, South LA part of town about your best option would be build affordable housing or workforce housing, and they said no, 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 we don't want that.
Mm.
Right? So it really does begin with the people who own the property and people who live in those neighborhoods. It has to be us. If I that's my opinion. I'm not an expert in this, but from what I can see, if truly the people of Southern California stood up and said, yes, build it in my neighborhood, I think it would make a huge difference.
Mm. Greg, back at you.
Mary, who within your organization would you like to highlight, acknowledge, thank? Is there anyone being groomed? We want to have, ideally, we get it to a place and we want to have some succession, to reach down and pull someone up. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, actually, it was something I was thinking about. So one of the things that's happening right now, as I said, I get a good number of corporations, companies reach out and they say, hey, we're looking to hire. We really want to increase diversity within our employees. Can we, here's these job opportunities and so on. But the problem and then when they can't find somebody, a lot of times the excuse is, and I'm going to say, their reasoning or whatever is that, oh, we just can't find anybody that is experienced, right, or really understands this, or is educated in this, right? And they're looking for like middle management, right? Like this whole thing about finding board um, um, people for board of directors, right, who are women or people of color, and now they're looking for senior management, and they can't find anybody of color. Well, I'm like, well, yeah, because you didn't hire anybody when they were young. You didn't hire entry level people of color and train them and have them go up through the ranks, and that's why we don't have anybody to hire. And so one of the things that I feel is that we really need to look at our younger people, a high school, right? Because that is when you're thinking about careers. And I would bet that most high schoolers or people, let's say in ninth grade, when you tell them, what is real estate? And show me someone who works in real estate. And about the only thing they're going to be able to say is a real estate agent. My mom is an agent, my grandma or whatever is an agent. They might think architect, they, but they don't realize that within that real estate development world, there are so many job opportunities and so many career paths that you can take. But if you don't explain it to young people, then when it comes to education, college, whatever, they don't follow that. And even today, I think the average person within the real estate industry did not study or become educated in any kind of land use other than a planner and an architect, right? Kind of thing, where it's a very highly focused. And yeah, you had to go and get a degree for this. But appraisers, they don't need a college degree. They go and take an appraising course for a year or something. Construction, a lot of them just started in construction or contracting or so on. So I think that where we need to focus is our young people right now entering high school, thinking about what am I going to do as a career, and explain to them, besides being a doctor, nurse, teacher, football player, basketball player, whatever, look at real estate development. There are so many. You can be in finance, you can be in design, right? You can be in construction, engineering. There are all these players within the real estate industry that is a very good career path that most, I think, young people aren't aware. And so ULI, Urban Land Institute, they actually have a program called the Urban Plan, where they go to high schools and teach about urban planning and real estate development. But it's a small program, and they do, maybe actually for COVID, they didn't do any classes, but they do 1 or 2 classes a year, and they do it all volunteers. People volunteer to teach high school people or to teach high school people um, real estate or land use occupations or career paths.
Are
That,
there
I think, is, go ahead.
are there any formalized partnership programs with high schools or LA Unified high schools or charters?
There's a few people who have programs with high schools, but again, it's kind of like a one-on-one, right? There's not something that all of LAUSD is. It's usually just one group with one high school, but it's a start. It's something that can be done. And so if you have a child entering high school and you're in land use in some way, maybe that's a program you can start. There are people who I think, would be interested in helping young people understand what real estate industry offers as job career or job career path.
I teach an entrepreneurial program throughout the year. I'd love to have someone come and talk to our kids when we're helping them develop business ideas. We're
Correct.
looking for them to have bigger, broader ideas than jewelry and lipstick and t-shirts. So if I can get, I saw you put your information there. I'd love to get a contact person and invite them. We do a virtual class. Love to have you, Robin. We do a virtual class for kids, and we need them to think bigger and broader. And most of these kids are going into high school or in high school.
Right.
So this could be a great beginning. And at the same time, looking at careers, business opportunities, and entrepreneurial opportunities that with their education, they can have a pretty successful business.
Correct. Yeshiva Davis comments, and Yeshiva, you are right on the money. It is true that when hiring, a young white man comes into the office, let's say just with a, I don't know, business degree, and it's kind of like, yeah, don't worry about it, we'll teach you the ropes. But a person of color comes in and they're like, well, yeah, you don't know how to do this. You've got to learn how to do this before we can hire you. Absolutely, you are right. There's less likely to be grooming going on with a person of color or a woman than there is with a white guy.
Yeah, for sure. Mary, you've been absolutely awesome. We definitely would love to have
Thank
you
you.
again. Thank you for your service to our country and the work that you're doing at USC. And I am going to share this platform will be on our new community briefing YouTube channel. So you guys
Awesome.
I will upload it up once I edit it and upload it there. So you can go over there in the chat, guys. I put a link please go over to the channel and subscribe. The
Hit
more
that
people
button, subscribe.
hit that button and
Hit that
subscribe.
button.
And the more people that subscribe, we'll be able to get our own dedicated channel, and then we'll be able to monetize that channel so we can continue to bring these amazing people to you, and have some other events in addition to that. So we thank you so much, Mary, for all that you're doing. And I have a couple of people. My sister is a real estate broker, and she's also she's a commissioner for the county on property tax appraisal.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
she's down there right now.
All right. And if you said you do these what was it, entrepreneurship type
Yeah,
of.
it's called Biz Camp and Business.
Okay, well, let me know if you need people. I'm sure I can find you a number of people that represent a variety of professions within the industry who probably, I'm pretty sure they'd love to speak. You could have a panel of three
yeah.
different professionals that work in the real estate development industry just to kind of discuss what they know and how they do it. And I think that would be great.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I got you. I saw you put your link there, and I will reach out
Yeah.
to you. We have a new crop of kids coming in Saturday, actually. And so we'll be looking for speakers to come out. The kids are looking to develop a business, and they're going to be competing for about $2,500 in the month of May. And so we want them to have some businesses that really have some meat to them as opposed to just as I said, t-shirts and jewelry and lip gloss, which is not going to change our world. So and we will use our voices, Mary, to let people build in the neighborhood so that we
That's
can
right.
solve our
We
problems.
need YIMBYs. Yes, in my neighborhood.
Yeah, years ago I went to a meeting. This guy out in the valley, I can't remember his name. I think he ran for an office out there, and there was a big fight between the YIMBYs and the NIMBYs.
And the NIMBYs, yeah. Yes, in my backyard. Yeah, that's
yes,
what it
in my
is.
backyard. Yeah. No, in my backyard. So
Yeah.
it's like, wow,
Yeah.
okay, this is interesting. This was
Right.
before the homeless problem got to the place that it is.
For sure.
So, Greg,
Thank you, everybody.
thank you,
It's been
Mary. Greg,
it's a pleasure, an honor. Thank you, everybody. Have a great Happy New Year. Many blessings to all.
Thank you. Yep. And glad to have you here, and thank you for sharing your story. And I know Robin mentioned something about you being a foodie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's a global eater.
Yes, unfortunately.
You've been to Escala, I'm sure.
I Escala in
K-Town.
Koreatown?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love that whole area, the Chapman Marketplace.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they have great places. So call me. No.
I should call you. We'll all go meet Mary.
If you're in the neighborhood, yeah, I'm walking distance.
It's good. Yeah, I figured it.
I'm in walking distance from that shopping area, so for sure. All right, everybody. Thank you. Pardon?
I was talking to Crystal about who we have for next week. I think we have a schedule change, or
we have on the schedule Kiana Charles, but we may have an adjustment there. But you guys stay tuned. We will be sending out notifications, and please go over to the community briefing YouTube channel. But you have the link there. Once you sign in, you'll get an update every time we upload a show. And I'm taking all of the 190 shows we have had over the last 2 years, and I'm moving them all over there. So over the time frame, you'll find all of our presentations, all of our shows. So right now, the last 5 that we did are over there. So keep coming back. Great information.
We're coming up on 200. Wow.
Coming up on 200, guys. Yay. So now we want to make sure we get enough subscribers. And so please join us over there. Join us on Facebook. We're there as well. You guys, we want to wish you a wonderful 2023. I hope you've done your planning and you're all ready to really kick bottom in 2023. If you were already doing that in 2022, you're just going to proceed on and take it to the next height. If you weren't, you're going to take 2023 and make it work for you. Miss Emma Maxey, hello. You're on mute, but we want to wish you.
No, good morning. Happy New Year to everyone.
Yeah, so we're in a new year. I feel inspired. We got governmental stuff going on, but
Yes.
but on the home front, I think we got good energy and we got good support. So let's make the community briefing grow throughout this year and get support. And we love you all. And please go out and tell everyone to come back because we've had some amazing individuals. Emma, Robin, Jesse, Yeshiva, all of you guys are amazing. So you have something to share. And we'd love to have you guys share it with us. So we will see you guys. Have a great day. Stay wet, dry. I guess we got a little lull before the next storm come along.
The sun's coming out over here right now.
Yeah, but I think it's probably for about 20 minutes. So go
That's
out and do
a good 20 minutes then.
Go out and do what you gotta do. Be careful out there. And we will see you guys next week. And Emma, we have to talk and see what you got on tap for 2023.
Love to talk with you. I'll give you a call.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Bye-bye, everyone. Derek, welcome. Glad to have you. Lynn, thank you for the work that you're doing over at Bridging House, and maybe we can get you on to talk about what that is. And we'll see you. Greg, want to take us out?
I'll come back now here.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Stop the record.